Welcome back to Shredcraft RC. I'm Cam, and I hope you all had a happy new year, bringing in 2024 happy and healthy. For the new year, I found one of these. I've seen these everywhere. My first RC car was a WPL, but this is the WPL D12, and it normally is like $60 to $70 RTR, and people turn them into little drift trucks. I found this one for $45 and I figured it was too good to pass up. So it's just a plastic chassis. I've already kind of played with lowering it a little bit. I just threw the 1/10 wheels on to see if it would slide, and I had like a cheap gyro in my receiver, and then kind of played with the angle. So it actually gets quite a bit of angle with some basic alignment modifications, and it's all kind of stock turnbuckles, everything in there. So anyway, the idea being, if this truck has a short wheelbase, it's like 7.5, maybe slightly less, and then the width of these things is about 6 inches. So with the idea of this kind of being not really like they're fun to drift around, but it's not like a competitive chassis with the most advanced geometry settings. So I have my plastic chassis RDX that I was gonna sell, but it's been just kind of sitting because I've been testing parts on it. So I've got it kind of stripped down here, and if you can see on the RDX, there's two basic parts. So you have your steering part, and that's separate from the rear, completely independent. And then in the rear, it's the transmission and the diff and arms, and this unit's completely separate. So here we have 2.5 inches, if not more, of gap between where the servo needs to bolt. I kind of scribed a couple lines so I could see. But yeah, almost 2¾ inches that can be removed from the chassis. And if we look at the wheelbase here, we're just over 10 inches, almost 10.25. Basically, if I take out that 2.5 inches, I'll be at the wheelbase of the WPL D12 here. So they also make this body in a van, and it comes back, and it might look kind of funny for a drift car. But I've seen a couple of people online who modified YD2 chassis and done the same thing, where they take a WL Toys buggy transmission and put it in and use that drivetrain. I was thinking low-C Mini B, but the drivetrain's a little too petite, like small, for the size of that car and it being a hard body. I'm gonna rebuild the shocks. My plan for the chassis is to use one of my old hand-cut Shredcraft YD2 decks. In the holes, there's a couple holes that actually line up, but I'm gonna see if I can shorten it and mount it in the center here. I'll probably cut these wings off. These were kind of for the battery support on the YD2. But the transmission holes, it looks like the rear toe blocks line up. And then on the front, I will probably have to re-drill holes because it's only the front bulkhead and like rear toe block that line up with this YD2 hole spacing. I'll have to drill a servo hole, but I'll figure out if this is going to be viable and work or not, because I have another carbon chassis, and then I have some raw 2.5 mil and 2 mil carbon plates, so maybe I'll cut a custom chassis. We'll see when I get there, but I'm gonna turn the camera off and do some math and mark out some holes and see what's possible, and I will take you guys along the process of kind of fabricating a short wheelbase ReveD RDX. I will get back to you soon. Here we are. I got my wheelbase kind of measured out. Each pieces are separated, and then I took my old carbon hand cut deck and I recut it. Well, re-drilled it. So the rear is what I kept, and then I cut the front end off, re-drilled the front bulkhead, and shaved down the sides there so the arms will have plenty of clearance. And then on the rear, it's a YD2S cutout, but I drilled the RDX holes so it's a bit Swiss cheesy looking. And then I have a set of Yokomo plastic toe blocks. The stock RDX has long toe blocks, and if you can see, these are short. These are like 47, 48 mil. So the idea of bringing the whole track with the width of the car in. And then on the front, my plan initially, what I I want to test is I will make a set of turnbuckles to shorten up, but also putting smaller ball joints on the top and lower arm to again bring in and narrow the front, because right now, rough looking, you know, the car to the hex is about 7 inches and I'm trying to take an inch out of that to be around 6 inches. I am going to fiddle with that. I can go ahead and get some of these parts played with. I'll show you how I brain calculate these toe blocks on the computer and figure out my toe angle, because I don't have a chart that comes with them in front of me. So yeah, you can kind of see the width difference here. Stock RDX deck, and then this new hand cut shorty deck I just made. So I will see if this is all feasible and catch you in the next clips. I'll fill you in if anything changes, but let's get to it. So I got the front end bolted up. It bolted right up, no problem. Kind of gives you a grasp of the scale. I haven't started working on the width of the front yet, but more focusing on the rear to make sure this is possible, because I think I will need some shorter CDVs. But there is the short toe block and the medium toe block. It is a 45.7 and a 47.2. There are the stock toe blocks. They are a 62 and a 61.2, and there is my longest spare and all the other parts. So shims and stuff, nothing shimmed on this yet. I just wanted to have an idea of the width, and right now we're about 5 3/4. Still probably gonna be a little wider than the 6 inch with the wheel, unless I run a real positive offset, and these are negative. I do have some adjustable offset wheels, so we can tinker with those, but I will move on to the front with some shorter ball ends and see how narrow I can get this with the steering angle still being able to operate as it should, because that's the whole goal. Mini drift car. I'll probably bolt on toe blocks first, get those shimmed, probably push them forward, keep the wheelbase short, and get that bolted back on, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get a little further along. I know I don't really film the working part just because it's not always the most interesting, and I'm kind of putting stuff on, taking things off all the time just to see what works, and then I'll start filming when I know something works. I will get wrench in here, get back to you when this looks more like a drift car. All right, see it. Pretty cool, isn't it? Got the rear all squared away, starting to look like an RC drift car. Got the front arm shortened up, and what I did was I used these Yokomo close-end ball cups. You can see here's a stock ball cup. Here's what I used, and then there's the stock tie rods. There is the ones I made. It's not aligned or anything. Just wanted to see what my width is going to be here, and right now I think I'm 7 inches or so. It's maybe 6 3/4. So I'm going to put the wheels on and just check to see if clearances for shocks and everything are going to work without going inboard or mono, like when they put the shock between those two holes. So I try to avoid doing that. I kind of like a traditional setup, but I also have an old YD2 top deck that I made a while ago, and I think it may bolt up there, and then I could put standoffs there. It's gonna depend on where my ESC and everything are gonna go, so plenty of room for the ESC to go in the back. I could run a low motor, keep everything low for the truck bed. Again, all mock-up, I'm just playing with ideas, and obviously a lot of spare parts and everything. I am gonna need shorter CDVs for the rear, because that shortened up quite a bit. And then I'm going to keep brainstorming some front end. I could cut or trim 2 or 3 mil off the arms. I'm going to try to avoid doing any cutting to the plastic, just so it could go all back to factory stock. I'm going to do a little brainstorming and see what I come up with, and get you guys on the next clip, update you throughout this whole process. Maybe a few days, but pretty cool to have a short wheelbase carbon fiber RDX. So I will show you what it looks like when get further along. Here's where I'm at right now. Got a top deck mounted from the old YD2, put some standoffs there, mounted the receiver and the gyro just to see where they should go. The arms I didn't touch again, minus just those smaller ball cups. I wanted to put some wheels on just to see how wide it was, to see if this is going to be a viable width. The CDVs are still out because they are too long, obviously, trying to shorten it up. But overall, the wheelbase looks good. It's nice and short. Who knows, maybe I'll just throw back the original toe blocks and then get it running again. We'll see. I don't exactly have a body for this yet. I want to leave the D12 as a D12 body because I think it's kind of cool and funky how it is. And then this will be something to rip around, kind of toss in your backpack or something maybe, because it's so small. I think on this one I'm gonna go ahead and make this a two-part video to not keep them too long or bore anyone. I'm gonna build the shocks just kind of stock, nothing special planned for those. And then when I figure out the CDVs, the width, and then maybe if I was thinking about shaving a Yokomo arm to fit in between there, because it's quite a bit shorter, but it would make the caster very extreme. So I don't know if that's going to be a good solution there. The other thing is I could go to toe blocks in the front and put my ReveD arms on with a piece of all thread and a short ball cut, but we'll see if that's going to happen or not. I put the motor on. I'm assuming I'm going to do a rear ESC, and I just stuck it. Sorry, I'm moving around here, but let's see. So ESC on the stock mount in the back there, just to mock everything up, make sure everything fits, is going to work together with itself. There's no CDVs, so these wheels are just sitting there. And then a funny little mess up I did, I was going to use a TT02 CDV. It's much shorter, and on accident I pressed the bearing into another bearing, and now that's stuck. So I'm going to have to punch that out some way, get a socket, the little larger than the smaller bearing, tap it through. Spur gears still have the stock discs, so it's coming along. It's pretty close, but I just want to say thanks for watching this. Let me know what you think of the short wheelbase project in the comments. If you guys like this kind of hodgepodge creative RC drift content, let me know, because I'm definitely going to make a part 2 to update everyone and get some running footage of this little thing. I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2. Like, comment down below what you guys think, and if you've also done any short wheelbase drift cars or D12 builds, I'm always looking for insight. I've kind of got all the basic D12 knowledge, but if you have some fun oddball stuff, let me know. And hit that thumbs up button if you like this, because I'm trying to do some high quality RC drift content this year, and yeah, keep it high quality instead of low quality. So I'm sure you've noticed the audio and stuff. I'm just filming this on a GoPro with no mic, so I'll eventually upgrade to a nicer setup, seeing how this is pretty fun. So thanks for watching. I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.